With the world going to absolute shit and supposedly World War III on our doorstep.
Donald Trump, if you can hear us, please, Donald Trump, please save me. Please save me, Donald Trump, please. I'm asking you. Please save me. Please save me.
I thought to myself, hey, why not go down memory lane for a while? So here I am, about to subject myself to a Nuzlocke run because, you know, I just want to feel something. And start a YouTube channel while I'm at it. Because why suffer alone when I can document it for strangers on the internet? For those who don't know, a Nuzlocke is essentially Pokemon on hard mode. The core rules are simple. If a Pokemon faints, it's dead forever and you have to box it permanently. You can only catch the first Pokemon you encounter on each route. Only one exception, a shiny encounter. And of course, you nickname your Pokemon to get emotionally attached before watching them die. And just to make things worse, I'm not playing regular Pokemon, no. I'm playing Pokemon Vault White by Drayano, a difficulty ROM hack specifically designed to crush your soul. We're talking gym leaders with full competitive teams, wild Pokemon that will actually murder you, and trainers who aren't there just for decoration anymore. So yeah, the last time I played Gen 5 Pokemon was maybe like 14-15 years ago when it came out. So this is gonna go great. The game boots up and I'm immediately greeted by Professor Juniper asking me the age-old question, are you a boy or a girl? Of course I picked the boy protagonist just because, you know, I'm not on the Optimus Prime thing, you get me? But shout out to the LGBT community. I dedicate my protagonist's name to the one and the only wavy legend who just got freed out of the jailhouse, Max B. After that I get introduced to my new rivals Sharon and Bianca. And now the good part starts. After a quick little cutscene I spawn in my bedroom with my two rivals right beside me. They've just let themselves into my room like it's normal. There's a present from the professor on the table and we all know what's inside. Snivy, Tepig or Shawot. And I choose Snivy since I've never played with him. And all of a sudden this crazy one wants to have a Pokemon fight in my room. Bianca always chooses the starter that has a type disadvantage to your starter. It was a quick battle of just spamming tackle till the end. After completely destroying my room, Sharon comes with the great idea of battling him since my room couldn't get any worse. Opposite to Bianca, Sharon has the starter that's got the type advantage over your starter. This battle was similar to Bianca with the tackle spamming, but I had to give him one leer to lower his Tepig's defense. It's like these two pricks came to their senses after the battle and immediately headed downstairs to apologize to my poor mother, who will have to clean that mess up. After accepting their apologies, my mom gifted me a bike. Before heading to the research lab, I make my way to Bianca's house, where she and her father are arguing about whether she's ready for her upcoming adventures in the Unova region. After intruding in her family business, we all head into the research lab, where Professor Juniper gives us the option to name our starter. I named my Snivy Greenhouse. I don't know why, it just popped into my head at the moment. And finally she gave us the Pokédex after a long explanation. Immediately after, she busted out the door and told us to meet her at Route 1. After leaving the lab, my mom gave us a Unova town map. She wished us goodbye and we were off on an adventure. Well, first we had to sit through the unskippable Pokemon catching tutorial, which afterwards she gave us some Pokeballs we could use for our first wild Pokemon encounter. Not long after stepping into the tall grass, we ran into our very first wild Pokemon encounter, a female Hoot. After weakening it for a little bit, I caught her with ease. I named her Minerva. I don't know what that was on with this aristocratic ass name. After stopping by the Poké Center, we see some kind of medieval Jehovah Witnesses preaching about the morality of having Pokemon. In all fairness, the Donnie wearing the dress does make some interesting points. After his speech, he gets escorted away like at some presidential visit. All of a sudden, a crackhead tells me he can hear my Pokemon speaking to him, so he challenges us to a battle. I sent at Minerva against his Nincada. Minerva outsped him to land the Hypnosis, sending him instantly to Dreamland. After that, it was straight tackle spamming till his Nincada fainted. He sent out Mankey after, and I let Minerva stay for another round, using the same strategy. The crit came in lucky, but after one turn, he woke up and charged himself up with the focus energy. But that would be in vain because I knocked him out one turn after. I switched Minerva for a greenhouse and spammed Fine Whip, which sealed the deal against his Purloin. After Anne left, Sharon told me there's a gym in Chargestone City, so we make our way to Route 2. But then our mom shows up out of the blue with some running shoes for us. Then I make my way to the tall grass for our next catch, a male Wurmple. I named him Kashmiri in honor of the legendary Khalid Kashmiri. I hope I've made you proud, bro. Kashmiri evolved after a few wild battles, then I defeated both trainers with relative ease before taking my first few steps in Chargestone City. But then all of a sudden, Bianca popped up behind me and challenging me to a battle. I was not prepared for this at all. With my Pokemon not having been healed from the previous battles, I sent out Kashmiri below half HP. After her Meowth flinched Kashmiri, I switched him with Minerva. After doing a bit of damage and healing, eventually Minerva took the Meowth out. Then Bianca sent out Oshawott, so I switched to Greenhouse, who made quick work out of our Oshawott, sealing the deal. Now I could finally enter Chargestone City, heal up, and get ready for our next battle with Sharon. Sharon started with a Starly, while I had the same formation as before with Bianca. I went with a Poison Sting hoping that Starly would get poisoned, but Starly outsped him and one-hit KO'd him. I don't know what I was thinking not switching Kashmiri with Minerva now looking back on this. But yeah, rest in peace our fallen soldier. There was no time to mourn, so we sent out Minerva. Starly outsped us and hit Minerva with a growl, lowering our attack. Starly was soon hit with a Hypnosis, sending it to Dreamland. This gave me the chance to use growl as well, lowering Starly's attack this time. I managed to land a couple pack attacks and I tried to hypnotize Starly again, but he avoided it. As you can tell, this was the second loss we suffered right after the first one. Rest in power, Minerva. You were a real G. We were down to our final soldier, Greenhouse. After knocking Starly out, I was already on half HP. Sharon sent out Tepic, and as you can imagine, this was absolutely fucked. After just 2 turns, my run was over. So early in the game, I was completely distraught. But I grabbed myself by the bootstraps, and I deleted my save file, and soon started my second attempt. The game boots up again, character selection, Max B2. This time I chose Oshawott because he's my favorite out of the 3. I won the battle against Bianca, won the battle against Sharon, and gave Oshawott the nickname Bounty Killer. Shout out to Bounty Killer. First encounter, a male Pidgey, and I named him Mr. P. The crackhead was still tweaking. I finished off his Ninkata by spamming Water Gun. Same story against his Mankey, although he hurt Bounty Killer a bit. I sent in Mr. P against his Purloin. Used Gust, which landed a crit. Second turn I finished it off with another Gust, and with that I defeated N. Second encounter was a male Mankey. After damaging him a bit with Water Gun, I caught him, quick and easy. I named him Boomy after the one, the only. No, not this one. I mean this one. Bianca surprised me again, not having healed up my Pokemon. You know, I never learn. Her Meowth flinched me again on the first turn. I thought Boomy would outspeed her, but we got hit. But the critical low kick saved the day. And I let Bounty Killer finish the rest with Water Gun. Another easy win. Now again, first steps in Chargestone City, healed up my Pokemon, and challenge Sharon. Time to get revenge for my fallen soldiers. He led again with the same setup, same strategy, using Growl to lower our attack. But the thing is, Water Gun is a special move, so he wasted his turn. And the second Water Gun was enough to finish Starly off. Then I switched to Mr. P to make quick work out of a Snivy. One critical pluck was enough to bring home the win. This was too easy compared to last run. After the battle he gave us HM1 cut, which we will need to progress the story. And now it was finally time to challenge the first gym leader. After solving the mind-numbingly easy gym puzzles and defeating the gym trainers, it was showtime. Because I chose Oshawott as my starter, Silent, the grass type gym leader, would be my opponent. To my surprise, it turned out to be a rotation battle. Silent started with his Snivy in front, but switched to Bulbasaur, though it would have had the same outcome either way, because Mr. P still knocked his ass out. He had this battle unlock, you know. Silent then sent out his Pensage, which he was also about to rotate for Chikorita. The pluck attack didn't knock her out, giving her a chance to poison Mr. P, but the second pluck sealed it. He sent out Turtwig next, which he of course rotated with Snivy. Snivy started setting up with Growth. With Snivy on low HP, I went to Quick Attack to seal the deal, but he healed Snivy back up again. Looking back at this now, I don't know why I used Quick Attack again against his Pensage. Tripping. I healed Mr. P back up and landed another pluck, finally taking Snivy out. Because of Mr. P's low HP, I had to rotate him out for Boomy. Pansage outsped and did some serious damage to Boomy. Boomy landed a 3-hit Fury Swipe before I healed him up with my last potion. Our chances of winning this battle without casualties were looking very slim. Pansage rotated with Trico, which opened up with a critical quick attack. That's when Boomy's ability awakened, Anger Point, which boosts a Pokemon's attack to the max after getting hit by a crit. And to be honest, I didn't know he had that in him, you know. After that, Boomy swept the rest of Silent's team with Karate Chop. Boomy's newfound ability felt like a gift from the heavens. We could win this Nuzlocke with just that ability, you know. With our first gym badge in the pocket, we headed over to the dream yard to progress the story. After cutting down the tree, Bianca came in running after us. Together, we entered this rundown shed where 2 plasma members were beating up a Pokemon. So we challenged them to a battle. The first grunt opened up with a Trubbish. Mr. P hit it with a feint attack, doing very little damage. After getting slapped 5 times, I adopted a new strategy, lowering its accuracy a few times before attacking, which turned out to be a good way to knock out his first Pokemon. I tried the same thing on his second Pokemon, Drowsy. After the first accuracy drop, he still managed to land the Hypnosis. Not wanting to risk it, I switched to Bounty Killer, who instantly got poisoned by the toxic spikes. I tried my luck with Water Gun, but it did almost nothing. Luckily, Drowsy disabled that move, forcing me to use the physical Cut, which did more damage. Then he came in with a Zen Headbutt. Oh shit. Way too close. I first healed Bounty Killer, then I woke up Mr. P so I could switch to him. After taking another Zen Headbutt, Mr. P outsped on the second turn and landed the super effective feint attack, knocking Drowsy out. The last Pokemon was sent out, Akens with Intimidate. Nevertheless, we went with a Pluck, doing only a bit of damage. After eating a Bite attack, I switched Mr. P out for Boomy. I know Boomy is weak to poison types, but what options did we have? With a Karate Chop and a 2-hit Fury Swipes, we finally defeated the Grunt. Finally some time to catch our breath. Or wait. We were instantly thrown into a battle with the second Grunt. With our Pokemon completely fucked, we started with Mr. P in the front. He landed a critical Pluck on Coughing. Coughing lowered our accuracy with Smokescreen, which caused Mr. P to miss the second Pluck and die shortly. The first death of the run. Allah yarhamah. I switched to Bounty Killer to try and end it in one turn, but it took 2, causing Bounty Killer to die from poison. Immediately after our first loss, we lost our starter, our first Pokemon. May God spare me with his next Pokemon. I sent him Boomy, and the Grunt sent out Grimer. I opened up with a 2-hit Fury Swipe, which Grimer immediately disabled. Grimer then hit Boomy with a critical Mud Slap, triggering Boomy's ability once again, but also lowering his accuracy a bit. Nevertheless, this was my only hope, and after one Karate Chop, Grimer fainted. Boomy was on extremely low HP after the poison damage, but survived thanks to the extra HP from leveling up. All I had to do was outspeed Cacnea to kill it. Well, Boomy missed, and Boomy died from poison as well. My star player, who had all that untapped potential, it was gone. And so was my second run. Just after the euphoria of earning our first badge, we were sent right back to the beginning, starting my third attempt. Well, third time's the charm. Character selection, max B3. This time I chose Tepic, won the battle against Bianca, won the battle against Sharon, gave Tepic the nickname Porkchop, first encounter a Sentret, and named him Mario 3, punished the Crackhead again, caught a Caterpie, named her Bye Bye, evolved her to Metapod, then into Butterfree, defeated Bianca for a second time, defeated Sharon for a second time. I challenged the first gym, this time I fought Crash, the water type leader. With Mario 3 in front, Oshawott used Screech to lower my defense harshly. Mario 3 hit back with 2 dizzy punches to put Oshawott in the ground. Mudkip switched in and pelted me with a water gun. I was still spamming Dizzy Punch. After switching around, I sent him Bye Bye to confuse and aircut his Mudkip to MM off. Spamming Air Cutter also buried Piplup. Chris sent out Pampor. A Squirtle almost M'd off Bye Bye with a crit, but luckily Bye Bye handled it well, M'ing him off instead. Bye Bye wrapped the rest up with a couple Air Cutters, getting us our first badge. And also Mario 3 evolved into third. Now it was time to get our get back on these plasma punks. I used a star player Bye Bye to drop Trubbish and Drowsy without taking any damage, beating the first up. The second Grunt also wasn't much of a problem. Bye Bye, the absolute goat, confused and air-cutted her way through the team, taking revenge for fallen soldiers in heaven. All of a sudden the cloaked Donnie appeared, conjuring a flipping shadow clone to shook up his grunts. You don't want to mess with him, you know. After disappearing, Musharna, reunited with her mom. Time for a new encounter, which was a Clefairy. I named her Angela M. Wir schaffen das. I collected the sea gear, ran into Sharon. I let Mario drop his Staravia with a Dizzy Punch and Quick Attack, make quick work of his Rock and Rollock using Cut, which is a grass move in this ROM hack. Switched into Angela M, who wore down her Panseer after a few double slaps. Sharon sent out his Oshawott, which I wanted to tranquilize, but the Giza has the Vital Spirit ability, which keeps him awake at all times. And after trying to set up using Encore and Memento, Angela M, our Muti got dropped. RIP. I hope German heaven is as lit as they say. Then I switched into Mario 3 to finish Oshawott with 2 cuts, sealing it up there. All of a sudden 2 grunts barge right through us. Before beating them up, it's time for a new encounter. A Vampy which we named Beyblade. Porkchop also evolved into Pig Knight. We head into the cave to mash them up, which we did, but all of a sudden a new grunt duo appeared and it was time for a double battle alongside Sharon. Mario 3 and Staravia against Voltorb and never mind. Mario 3 and Staravia against Voltorb and again, never mind. Yeah, all jokes aside, this was a pretty easy battle, which concluded very quickly, only that Pawnyard was a bit of a struggle. After taking the L, they disappeared again, so it was again encounter time. This time, a Bronzor, which I named Zhong. After obtaining the old road, I went back to Castelia City to fish for an encounter, which was a side duck I named Misty, even though it's a male. It's 2027, brother, get with the times. We were back on our way to Necrine City. When we arrived, Sharon had some sunstones for me. Before entering the gym, I headed to Pinwheel Forest for another encounter, which was a Makuhita I named Brawly. Making my way to the gym, the green-haired crackhead challenged me to a battle, which he of course, without breaking much sweat, lost. Then he started rambling again about friendship and a legendary Pokemon. Apparently the gym is inside of this museum building. After beating the trainers and solving the puzzle, it was time to beat the second gym leader, Lenora. This time it was a double battle. She started with Stantler and Herdier, who both have Intimidate, which lower opponents' attack, but now 2 times. This is a serious strategy of ours. The super effective arm thrusts of Porkchop and Brawly don't hit as hard as normal due to this, so I pulled Porkchop back for Zhong. Brawly nearly put Herdier away, but came up 1 arm thrust too short, so I recalled him for Bye Bye. Herdier patched herself back up. Stantler dealt some extra damage to Bye Bye, who confused him right after. Zhong's extra sensory barely scratched Stantler, but Bye Bye finished the job with Air Cutter. Lenora threw out Furret, patched Brawly up during Zhong's turn, and had Bye Bye Air Cutter them both, but Furret buried him with another retaliate. Bye Bye to Bye Bye. RIP. I sent out Mario 3, which helped in putting Furret down. I patched Zhong back up with Mario 3's turn, but that Bouffalant smashed him back into the orange, so I swapped him with Brawly. Mario 3 finally finished off Herdier. Bouffalant hit himself in confusion, and the Bibarel Lenora threw in also got confused of the Dizzy Punch. But unfortunately, Bouffalant landed the crit on Mario 3, which saw his demise. RIP my brother. Before sending Porkchop back in, Bibarel's Moody ability activated, which lowers 1 stat but rises another stat sharply. In this case, his evasiveness rose, but speed fell. With Bouffalant still hitting himself like a donkey, Porkchop dropped Bibarel and Brawly took care of the donkey. Lenora threw out her last Pokemon Watchog. While I got Porkchop back to health, Brawly tried to close this rat out, or not. Porkchop was almost sent to the barbecue, but luckily he delivered the final blow, which got us our second gym badge. Lenora's baby daddy storms in. Gym Plasma is stealing the fossils. A group of grunts managed to steal the head of a dragon statue. While looking for them outside, I meet the next gym leader, Berg. Bianca and Sharon also pop up and give me the dowsing machine. I healed up my Pokemon and headed to the inside of Pinwheel Forest to look for the Dragon Skull. After beating the grunts, Brawly evolved into Hariyama. After I recovered the Dragon Skull, one of the Dawn's lackeys appeared and starts having a talk as if he popped a perky.
No, I'm stuck right now. Oh, you sure I'll be okay?
I'll be okay.
You sure?
Promise.
I'm stuck right now.
Berg says he will be waiting for me at Castelia City's gym. On the way to Castelia, a hiker gives me a quick claw, which I give to Zhong. While crossing the Sky Arrow Bridge, the view changes from flat buildings and just water to skyscrapers and train tracks. We've arrived in Castelia City. I healed up my Pokemon, beat this breakdance on the public square. Beyblade evolved into Donphan, and after exploring for a bit, I had to Route 3 for yet another encounter, which was an alley gym I called Elohim. I also found a skull fossil. Sharon stood outside the gym gym talking his usual BS. Berg came in right after telling me I should meet him at Prime Pier, so I did. Bianca and a purple-haired girl were there as well. After that we battled Team Plasma on the street and we defeated them of course, so we went in after them. Inside we found multiple Donnies wearing dresses. The Don of the Donnies started preaching about dragon Pokemon, harmony, knowledge, ideals, blah blah blah. Team Plasma returned Bianca her Pokemon, and after they vanished I went back to Nacrene City to awaken a few fossil Pokemon. Cranidos, Tirtoga, and Archon. Cranidos became Somalia, Tirtoga became Squirtle, and Archon became Noah's. I also directly evolved Somalia, Zhong, and Porkchop. I went back to the Castelia gym, beat the trainers, solved the puzzle, and challenged Berg. Another double battle. Berg sent out Vespiquen and Masquerain against Somalia and Zhong. Vespiquen intimidates both of our Pokemon. Somalia ate the attack but returned the favor immediately. Zhong took Masquerain into a dizzy, and Somalia got badly poisoned. The Quick Lock couldn't do anything about that unfortunately. Zhong chipped Masquerain down to the red, and in confusion it still managed to land the Silver Wind. Vespiquen U-turned on Somalia and rotated with Scolipede. I pulled Somalia back for Noah's. Masquerain patched itself up. Zhong ate a Matterhorn and fired right back with a super effective extrasensory, aiming off Scolipede. Berg threw out Livani, and Noah's got demolished without even threatening. RIP the bird. Zhong now also spun Masquerain into confusion. I brought Porkchop in to avenge the winged brother. Both ops hit themselves, and Porkchop burned Livani alive and got a speed boost out of it. Zhong's rollout went wide, Berg threw out Heracross. Porkchop outsped Masquerain and scorched it with another flame charge. Still, a Scald landed on Zhong, and Heracross came down with a Night Slash on Porkchop. I don't know why they didn't flip the attack around. Zhong needed 2 extra sensories to put Heracross away, and Porkchop burned Masquerain to the grave. Yanmega and Vespiquen came in, dropping our attack again. I swapped Zhong for Beyblade. Flame charge barely registered. Beyblade tanked both attacks like a G. Yanmega picked up a speed boost, another flame charge and a rollout buried Vespiquen. With Beyblade as a sacrificial lamb, I wanted to stall Yanmega and stack a couple flame charges, but luckily it went after Porkchop instead, and Beyblade got the honors of finishing her off, and Berg was defeated with only 1 casualty. After stepping outside, Bianca called me to challenge me to a battle, so I patched up and took her on. The battle was light work, ran through our whole team without much trouble. Sharon at Route 4 also wanted to go. The battle was nothing special up until this moment here. Duat hit Brawly into the red with a revenge, and the sandstorm finished him off. Such a disgusting way to pass away. Lord of mercy. After the battle, Squirtle evolved into Caracosta and Misty into Golduck. I put Brawly in the box and found his replacement in Khalid the Sandshrew. I also found a lot of fossils and another encounter inside Relic Castle, a Yamaska called Lupin. Before entering Nimbasa City, the professor gifts me some cherish balls. Now inside Nimbasa City, there were some grunts I needed to learn a lesson. Right after, Khalid evolved into Sandslash. Then I headed to Route 16 for another encounter, a Skorupi named Baba. I followed the grass path further and ended up in the Lost Lawn forest and caught a Shelmet named Tachi. On the way to Route 5, I head back to Nimbasa City, but end up in an unskippable cutscene. Bianca's dad came to take his daughter back home. All of a sudden, the Nimbasa gym leader shows up to convince her dad to allow his daughter to continue her adventures. And a la anime plot, her dad came to her senses and decided to head back home himself. After this tear-jerking experience, I head to Route 5 to catch myself a new Pokemon, which is Gulpin. I know evolves into a bigger disappointment. Back in Nimbasa City, I came across N. He said he knew where Team Plasma were when they were not there. That sucker, he really set me up because he revealed to me that he is the king of Team Plasma. Bro, anyone could have guessed. That's literally the intro animation of this flipping game. When the ride was over, it was time for a battle. N sent out Maractus and Hippotas. After doing almost nothing, I swapped Elohim for Aino directly after Khalid got buried with a Giga Drain. RIP my man, he was so young. After having Baba in for a bit, I brought Zhong in. And next thing I know, Aino gets put away as well, which doesn't break my heart as much. As Hippotas goes down from poison damage, then he throws Gligar in, which brutally emmed off Baba. He didn't even reach his full potential yet. And then Sigilif drops his own Gligar and barely puts a dent in my Pokemon. Zhong makes short work out of Sigilif. Lavesta and Golett come out and get poisoned instantly. Both go down with ease, and after losing a few team members, I finally put N away. N tells me he will become champion. I dump my dead team members and head back to the museum to recover Somaliland the Shieldon, SpongeBob the Omanite, and Predator the Kabuto. Somaliland involved into Bastiodon, Lupin into Corphagus, and Elohim into Bro, I don't even know how to pronounce this shit, you know. Then it was time to challenge Elisa, the electric type gym leader. The first single battle gym. The battle starts with Somaliland versus Emolga. After taking a hit, I fired back with a smackdown, grounding her and making her vulnerable to ground type moves. After 2 dig attacks, her Emolga was done. She threw an M for us, so I brought in Porkchop. We nearly finished it in one go, so on the second turn I used Flame Charge to put it away and pocket the speed boost. Then Raichu came in. He was still faster than Porkchop even with the speed boost, landing a focus blast, but the bulldoze put it down anyway. Same story for Galvantula, gone on the second turn. Then I got Porkchop back to full and ran the same play. Her last Pokemon Zebstrika also got the short end of the stick. This was definitely the easiest gym battle thus far, and after the beating N gave me, this was a good ego boost. I patched up and headed to Route 5, but Sharon got in the way, so I dealt with him quickly. After the battle, Elisa introduces us to the Unova champion, who's goofing off with some kind of gypsies he met along the way. Then he makes 2 gypsy kids battle us, which of course they lose. After that, Elisa opens up the bridge to Driftveil City. On the bridge I catch a Swablu, which I named Kalio. After arriving in Driftveil City, Gym Leader Clay gives us the mission to find Team Plasma. But first, encounter time. I caught a Horsey, which I called Ferrari 350. A Fungus, which I call Fungi, and I caught Swine Up, which I named Haram. I beat the trainers at the cold stores to evolve Kalio, SpongeBob, Fungi, and Ferrari 350. I also found the Razorfang. Then me and Sharon found the hiding spot inside the cool cell. Before heading in, I evolved Bikini Bee, Shrimp, and Predator. When we headed in, we saw some LGBT behavior from one of the Plasmadonis, and then we ended all of the grunts' careers. Meanwhile, Haram evolved as well. Then Clay busts in with his goons to lock off this whole island situation. We also found the Nevermelt Ice. When heading to the gym, we found the Donny of the Donnies facing off Clay to get his grunts back from captivity. After blackmailing Clay, he returns his grunts. Then we head in, defeating his trainers and making our way downstairs to Clay. Another single battle. The battle starts out with Hippodon versus Ferrari 350. Ferrari 350 puts Hippodon away with a Hydro Pump. I brought Kalio in when Crocodile appeared. His attack fell, but Kalio's Cloud 9 ability made sure the effects of the weather, in this case the sandstorm, disappeared. After eating a Thresh, I set up Dragon Dance and Safeguard. Right after the last Thresh, Crocodile got confused, but recovered due to his held item. I got Kalio back to full and kept stacking Dragon Dances and Safeguards. This went on for a while, and every time Crocodile would clip himself and deal a bit of chip damage. Eventually, Crocodile used Torment, forcing me to rotate moves every turn, so I put him down with Fly. When Marowak appeared, I used Safeguard to set the strat back up, but he stone edged the life out of Kalio. Other preparation for nothing. RIP the short-lived legend. So I brought Ferrari 350 back in, ran agility, and from there the gameplay footage of this gym battle sadly got corrupted. We took a major loss winning this gym battle with Kalio sadly in the grave. On our way to Chargestone Cave, Bianca pops up for a battle, Persian versus Shrimp. After dealing a bit of damage, I brought Beyblade in, who eventually put Persian away. Then I swapped to Lupin, who first set up with Nasty Plot, boosting his special attack. Then it was back-to-back Shadow Balls. Superior managed to paralyze him in the meantime, but that didn't stop him from dropping Simipore and Musharna. I swapped him for Bikini Bee, who didn't really last that long. RIP my man. Then I sent out Somaliland, who, if it wasn't his sturdy ability, which makes it impossible to one-hit KO him, definitely wouldn't survive. But that damage combined with Metal Burst, which returns the damage 1.5 times, put Mienfo away. And that was it for Bianca. Then I headed to Chargestone Cave, where Clay used his Pokemon to open the entrance. Inside, N had his ninja goons abduct me and bring me to him. Then he told me they were waiting for me up ahead. Right after I caught Clink, which I named Coke, as in Coca-Cola, you know. After beating the grunts, Coke evolved. Now it was time for another showdown against N. He led with Ghost Form Rotom, which Porkchop handled easily, although taking quite a bit of damage. Then the water form came in and made it rain. But Lupin dealt with it much like Porkchop did, though he took quite some damage too. Now it was Ferrari 350's time to shine against Fire Form Rotom, but sadly he got finished in one hit with a Thunderbolt. Somewhere in my mind I thought he was already a Dragon type. Somaliland stepped in and with a quick Clash Smackdown made it so Rotom became vulnerable against ground type moves. With Somaliland paralyzed, I brought Beyblade in, who tanked an overheat but returned the favor with Earthquake, burying it. Now it was Haram comes time to shine, well, haven't used the lad that much and it couldn't even evolve to the last stage. Such a pity. I sent out Somaliland to absorb a hit while I got Porkchop's paralysis sorted, and with its special attack plummeting, I used the opening to get the whole team top bit by bit. Now it was time for Porkchop to send it to HE double hacky sticks. Fan Rotom got sent out, Porkchop missed the head smash, and just with one hurricane, Fan Rotom ended him off. My starter, who has been here since the beginning, never backing down from any challenge, is now gone. Forever. I need to kill this flipping guy. I brought Lupin in, tanked the Thunder, and raised my special attack with Nasty Plot. Then I Pet Shop, he uses Substitute and picks up a speed boost, and this cycle continues until I send out half HP Somaliland, who with a quick claw lands a smackdown. And then again, Pet Shop Substitute speed boost. Somaliland also eats a crit Thunder and gets paralyzed. I pivot to the only Pokemon left who's also immune to Thunder, Beyblade. Beyblade tanks a Hurricane, but gets confused, yet he still connects an Earthquake, breaking the Substitute. I try to recover but get dropped right back into the red. Seeing how futile this is, I chose to sacrifice Beyblade to clear Somaliland's paralysis, who if lucky can land another quick block. Beyblade took one for the team, I will never forget that. RIP the legend, let it rip. I send out Somaliland and pray to God that he lands a quick claw smackdown. And he does, what a G, putting this prick Fan Rotom in the dirt. And throughout his lost Pokemon Frost Rotom, I got Somaliland back to full, tanked a Thunderbolt and a Thunder Wave, and brought it down with Smackdown. Tanking another Thunderbolt and still being paralyzed, I went for a dig even though there's a 2 times more likely chance it won't connect, and with the will of God, it was a critical hit which deleted the last godforsaken Bosch, Siemens or Miele machine. What a legend, man. She's the only one who walked out of this graveyard of a battle. After this PTSD level battle, Professor Juniper meets N and gets lectured. I get out of the cave, bury my fallen soldiers, evolve Coke to his last stage. I meet Professor Juniper's dad and the side chick Skyla, the Castelia City gym leader. She tells me to first head to the Celestial Tower before challenging her, so we do. On the way we encounter Ponyta, which we named Ferrar in honor of Ferrari 350. May God have mercy on you. We headed in the wrong direction at first, but managed to evolve Ferrar immediately, and taking the right route this time we enter Celestial Tower. We head up the stairs and encounter a Pokemon, a Ghastly, which we first catch and then name Polo 7. At the top we find Kyla on her own, who wants us to ring the bell, so we do. So now we finally can challenge her to a gym battle. We head back to the gym and get catapulted into trainer battles, where our Polo 7 fully evolved into a Gengar. After patching up, it was time to beat Skyla. This time it was a triple battle with all 3 Pokemon having the Levitate ability. Ferrar hit Skarmory with a super effective Flare Blitz, which got softened by a held Oka Berry. Coke hit Braviary with Spark and got flinched. The op set up using Tailwind and Spikes. Squirtle this time got a quick loss, smackdown on Braviary, nearly finishing it, but it recovered with a held Citrus Berry. Rockslide did almost nothing. Ferrar put Skarmory away and Coke did the same thing. Gliscor and Archeops came in, knowing that both have Earthquake. I rearranged my team. I had to use Somaliland as a sacrificial lamb to lock down this win. RIP the biggest horror in the game. Coke came back for a second time, which ended up the same way as our fallen brother Somaliland. RIP. Mandibuzz restored itself all the way using rest and woke up with a held Chestoberry. Polo 7 put Gliscor away and carved into Archeops pretty well. Squirtle made his re-entrance with another quick claw smackdown on Swanna, doing serious damage, though she also had a Citrus Berry. Polo 7 redid his magic and finished off Archeops while also denting Swanna a little, but inevitably got the short end of the stick, eating a crit Brave Bird from Mandibuzz. RIP the G, Polo 7. I brought Ferrar in, got Squirtle back to full, hypnotized Mandibuzz and put Swanna away. And just 2 smackdowns at the end was enough to claim this gym battle. And G checks me using my own Pokemon against me? I never would have thought Squirtle would rat on me. Then he goes on about the light and the dark stones blah 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 and takes off. Once again I bury the fallen soldiers and have the others take their place. Back on our way to Twist Mountain with only 5 Pokemon mind you, Sharon catches me lacking. I wanted to catch the 6 Pokemon without having to run back to the PC, but now I get punished for it. We start the battle and it's a rotation battle this time. He quickly changed from Staraptor to Alakazam, hitting me with an energy ball, which nearly finished me. Shout out to the sturdy ability. The smackdowns did almost half. I brought Zhong in and confused the opposing Gigalith, who hit himself, you bozo. I set up Future Sight afterwards and Gigalith put Stealth Rocks down. Alakazam rotated back in and hit me with a Shadow Ball, which didn't do too much. I tried to hypnotize him, but it missed, so I swapped to Shrimp. Alakazam rotated with Staraptor, who used the U-turn, which made him switch with Samurott. But then the future sight landed on him, and mind you, Samurott is a water fighting type in this ROM hack, so it wiped him out immediately. Luck is on my side this time. Simisear appeared and got demolished with a few rock blasts. After, I first got Shrimp sorted while Gigalith hurt himself. Then I healed up Squirtle after Gigalith missed. And as you can see, I was thinking of using X-Scissor, but thought he wouldn't rotate to Alakazam. But guess what happened? He switched to Alakazam. Metal Claw nearly finished him. I thought he would patch up Alakazam, so I went for an X-Scissor. But guess what happened? It landed on Gigalith, which didn't put him down. He used the Stone Edge, which sent Shrimp to the grave. RIP the MVP, man. And that's a lesson for you guys. Always listen to your gut feeling. I sent out Elohim, who did quite some damage on Whimsicott, and dropped Gigalith with Psychic. But Staraptor's Brave Bird was too much for him. RIP. I brought Zhong back in and spun Alakazam into confusion. He ate a Brave Bird from Staraptor after, nearly wiped Staraptor out, patched up, and Alakazam command shift deleted himself. Staraptor got cleaned up, and finally Whimsicott got cleaned up as well, defeating Sharon. After the battle, Alder got inspired and also wanted to use that one keybind. He survived and gave us HM3 Surf. Both of them left and we headed into Twist Mountain, and as if we didn't speak to this guy a few minutes ago, Sharon was there and Clay was there as well, just to tell me that Team Plasma was nowhere to be found. Now it was time for some well-needed encounters. Inside Twist Mountain, I found a Gerda, whom I named 6am. I backtracked all the way to Route 1 to get some encounters we previously couldn't get without Surf. On Route 17, I found Wilmer, which I named 629 kilograms. At Route 18, I found a Lickitung, whom I called Throat Goat, for reasons I can't disclose. All three Pokemon quickly evolved. I headed back to traverse Twist Mountain with a new team. We ended all the trainers' careers inside, and that's when I found Chirin at the end speaking with two Plasma Grunts. They were talking about finding an important item. When entering Enquiries City, Juniper's dad jumps out telling us about Dragon Spiral Tower. We'll head there later. First I found Grimer, which I named Nivea, who evolved right after. Then right by the grass at Dragon Spiral Tower, I found an Alakazam, who I named Glock. At Route 8, I found a Toxicroak, who I named Wasco. Now it was time to challenge the gym leader. After ice skating through the puzzles and beating the trainers, I made it to the ice gym leader, Bryson. It was a double battle with 6am and Nivea in front. Both of them got hit by two blizzards, but Nivea managed to drop Abomasnow with a gong shot, and 6am put Glaceon away with a hammer arm. But sadly, 6am went down due to the hail damage. RIP Ashton Hall. Bryson threw out Frostlass and Fendelux, while I brought Zhong in. I got Nivea back to full. Zhong absorbed some serious damage. Nivea was at half HP, and on top of that, frozen solid. At least I got Frostlass confused. I got them both patched up. Frostlass hit herself. Both got blasted by Blizzard, but Nivea got knocked back to 1 HP of a crit and fainted from the hail damage. RIP the big Grimace Shake. I sent out Wasco. Frostlass hit itself again. Wasco used the fighting gem to power up its Karate Chop and drop Vanilluxe in one hit. The extra sensory wasn't enough to finish Frostlass though. Beartic appeared. Frostlass got patched up. Zhong took a serious shot down to 6 HP, and like 6am and Nivea before him, fainted right there. One of our OGs is already gone. RIP Zhong Maodong. I brought Glock in. Wasco carved into Frostlass with a sucker punch, and Glock put Beartic away in one hit. Both got hit by another blizzard, with Wasco getting frozen this time. The plan now was to stall Frostlass by patching up until its HP bar got drained by the life orb recoil, which eventually worked out, but Wasco didn't survive the hits coming on both sides. RIP Mr. Middlefinger. Only Throat Goat was left. I sent him in, and after a few Gyro Balls, we had our 6th badge in the pocket. We slid back outside, where both of our rivals were talking about their future until Bryson also headed out and sensed the invisible Plasma Goons. They told me to come to Dragon Spiral Tower, so after burying the fallen soldiers, we headed there where Bianca and Juniper's dad wished us good luck. Inside Dragon Spiral Tower, we caught a Golett, which we named Polter. It immediately evolved into Golurk. Then for the first time ever, some internal dialogue. Sharon tells us to hurry up, so we head up the stairs, defeat the Plasma Grunts, solve the terrain puzzles, feel the tower shaking, team, fight the grunts loyal to the red Donny, climb the last stairs, and rush around cutscene. I remember seeing this cutscene in 2011 and being blown away by it. The peak of graphics damn times. Then he starts talking his usual BS and dip on Reshiram's back. That is some crazy exit. Sharon and Bryson take us back to the entrance. Alder appears and tells us to head to the Relic Castle. So we go there, meet Sharon, went downstairs and got jump scared by one of the Donnies, get sucked into the underground, pause, and found Ghetsis and Alder at the bottom. Ghetsis tells us the Darkstone is not here and that we have been chosen by N. Later on, Alder will return to the Pokemon League to battle N. Now back outside, Professor Juniper bells me to tell me to come to Necrene City right now. So we go there and find everybody standing outside of the museum. Lenora found the Darkstone, which is used to awaken Zekrom. Alder tells us to go to Upper City and talk to the gym leaders for more info. He will wait for me there. Whilst I'm still in Necrene City, I revived Aerodactyl and named him Chester S. Shout out to Chester Stone. I head back to Icarus City and make my way to the Moor of Icarus, where I caught a Gastrodon, who I named Gary. Right before the bridge entrance, Bianca challenges me to a triple battle. I first dropped Mienshao with a one-hit psychic. Polter and SpongeBob only put the dent in things. SpongeBob sadly got finished with only one energy ball. RIP I sent out Chester Stone, who nearly put Musharna away. I pulled Glock back, she rotated Persian in. I got Polter back to full, she got Musharna back to full. I threw everything I had at it, she matched it. I patch up again and Musharna goes down. But now they've jumped my boy Polter, 2v1. These men don't know nothing about honor, man. Rest in peace. I will see you in the next Ghostbusters movie. Glock re-enters and drops Persian, but sadly, they use their wicked manners again, putting Glock down. It was a star in the making. Rest in peace, my man. Squirtle and Chester get the get back and drop these waste man. Bianca just wiped up the good half of my team. I don't know if we'll make it any farther than this. But anyhow, we will head to the two-blind bridge. All of a sudden, we get rushed again by the Shadow N goons, and they brought us to the Don of the Donnies. He rambles on about finding the legendary Pokemon and manipulating the members, blah blah blah, and heads out. On Route 9, we found the perfect replacement for Glock, a female Curlia, whom we named Jeffrey, before he was a snitch. Jeffrey evolved. Inside Upper City, me and others saw the Donny of the Dons preaching to an audience like the first time we met, but this time, a lot of people were heeding his words about releasing their Pokemon. Alder left me with the two gym leaders, who brought me to their home and explained the Unova legend to me. So now it was time to get my team ready for the final gym battle. I went inside Chargestone Cave and found the Larvitar, which I named Mon Frère. On the way back, I ran into a shiny Minun. Crazy timing, you know. Even though it is a shit Pokemon, I was still pretty excited. And the excitement, I didn't even name her. Mon Frère fully evolved right after. Now back in Upper City, I had to Route 10 to encounter a Prime Ape, which I called Woof. Kagi also finally evolved. Now it was time for the final gym battle. After beating all the trainers inside and completing the puzzles, I challenged Iris, the Dragon-type gym leader. It was another triple battle. I knew Iris started with Gyarados, so I sent out Chester Stone and Gary to bait her into using Aqua Tail. Little did she know Gary has the Storm Drain ability. That ability causes an immunity to water-type attacks, which also boosts Gary's special attack. Drodigan's Earthquake only reached Gary, but Gary dropped him right after. Squirtle also connected a lucky crit on Altaria, putting her away. Gary got back to full, Chester landed the crit on Gyarados and finished him. Chester evaded both attacks aimed at him, and Gary hit Dragonite with an Ice Beam, nearly finishing him, but he recovered a bit with a Health Citrus Berry. Hexos came in and Chester Stone put some damage on him, but right after, Chester got demolished by a boosted Outrage. RIP. I brought Woof in, got Squirtle sorted, Woof hit Kingdra for a bit, Dragonite put Woof away in one shot. I just got this done. Give me some room, please. Gary instantly got the get back on him. I threw Tachi in after and he wrapped it up for us. We finally have all the 8 gym badges, so now we can head to the Pokemon League. Professor Juniper stood outside to greet us and give us the Master Ball. On the way to Victory Road, Sharon challenges us to a battle, a single battle this time. Squirtle took a super effective close combat, which dropped both of its defenses, and returned with a super effective smackdown. I swapped Squirtle for Jeffrey, which also ate the close combat, but on the second turn got outsped by Brave Bird and fell to an unfortunate end. After losing Glock and finding Jeffrey as the perfect replacement, this really hurt and left a hole in our team. RIP, man. Horses don't stop. I brought Tachi in, who quickly dealt with Staraptor. Then I swapped to Gary, who carved Gigalith down to 1 HP. After he put Stealth Rocks down, Gary dropped him. Arrivederci. I brought Monfrère in, who tanked an Aura Sphere before ending Alakazam with a crunch. Then Gary came back out and swiftly wiped Simisear with a quick cluster. Then Tachi came back out, who after a substitute ping pong situation managed to put Whimsicott away. Then came Throat Goat, who power whipped the sword dancing Samurott, which wasn't enough, tanking Secret Sword on 38 HP, but finished the job the second time. And that was it. The final rival battle was complete. After a touching final chat with my childhood friends, I returned to bury the fallen soldier. Now back at the Victory Road gate, I underwent mandatory gym badge check, and at the third check I ran into an unexpected encounter, a Scyther, boy named Wesley, and immediately added to the team involved. Arriving at Victory Road, I encountered an Aggron inside the cave. I caught her and named her Baltimore. After beating all the trainers, I arrived at the Unova Pokémon League. I entered a space with a statue in the middle and multiple pathways leading to each Elite Four member. This was the first and only gen to have this feature, and honestly, I think I prefer it this way. The first Elite Four member we challenged was Caitlyn, the Psychic type trainer, and this battle was one of the easiest battles in this whole run. With Monfrère and Wesley in front, they tore through our whole team. Musharna went down in one hit, Gothitelle same story, Sigilyph same story. Ryunclus and Bronzong were a bit tougher though, with Ryunclus getting patched up but dropped back into the red, and Bronzong getting the last push to his grave. Behem also got hit with a super effective X-Scissor, and Monfrère closed it with a last crunch, winning us our first Elite Four battle. Right after, we challenged Chantel, the Ghost type trainer. Monfrère and Gary in front. Monfrère attacked the Thunderbolt and answered with a Stone Edge, putting Driftblim away. Monfrère and Gary both ate serious damage from the Earthquake, but Gary gave it right back with an Ice Beam. Jellicent appeared. I got Monfrère back to full. Monfrère got burned, which also cuts physical attack in half. Gary barely survived the Shadow Punch and took Golok out with a second Ice Beam. Chandelure appeared. I swapped Monfrère for Tachi and Gary for Throat Goat. I only brought Tachi in because he'd handle water attack better than Monfrère, which he did. I pivoted Tachi straight to Squirtle, who ate the Fire Blast and sidestepped the Hydro Pump. Throat Goat ended Jellicent's career right after. There was a bit of luck involved, of course. Frostlass appeared. I got Squirtle sorted. Squirtle tanked both attacks before putting Chandelure away with a crit Aqua Tail. Mismagius appeared. I got Squirtle sorted again, tanked both attacks again before landing a super effective crunch on Mismagius. I quickly swapped Squirtle for Monfrère and healed up Throat Goat. Monfrère tanked both Thunderbolts like a G. She patched Mismagius up. I got Monfrère sorted, but this time I put Mismagius in the ground with a crunch. And right after, Frostlass followed the same way, defeating the second Elite Four trainer. And now we got onto the assembly line to challenge Grimsley, the Dark type trainer. We threw out Tachi and Wesley. Tachi immediately got paralyzed but managed to drop Sharpedo with a Bug Buzz. Wesley also buried Liepard without much trouble. Honchkrow and Houndoom came in. Houndoom has Intimidate as well. I swapped Wesley for Monfrère, taking up a Sandstorm, and swapped Tachi for Gary. Fire Blast did almost nothing, but the Brave Bird was pretty serious. I got Gary back to full. Monfrère took damage from both sides, but put Houndoom away with a Stone Edge. Absol appeared. I got Monfrère sorted, but he took heavy damage right after. Same goes for Gary, though he dropped Honchkrow right after with an Ice Beam. Bishop appeared. I swapped Monfrère for Throat Goat and Gary for Wesley. Both tanked the hits well. Second turn they both got pushed into the orange before Wesley emmed off Absol in one hit. Throat Goat finished Bishop in one hit, and that was it for the third Elite Four battle. Now there was only one left. We step onto the platform, which brings us to the boxing ring where we challenge Marshall, the fighting type trainer. With Gary and Wesley in front, Gary took some serious damage but managed with a bit of help from Wesley to put Throw away. I got Gary and Wesley sorted, and Wesley nearly got finished by Mienshao. Sock also put some scary damage on the board. Luckily Wesley dropped Mienshao in one hit. Conkeldurr appeared. I got Wesley and Gary back to full, and Gary nearly got sent to the afterlife in a 2v1. I got Gary back to full again, and now both of them are getting targeted. I purposely left Sock alone so that he chip his own defense all the way down. Wesley carved into Conkeldurr and I got him sorted right after. But I forgot about Gary, who fell in another 2v1. RIP the water drinker. Poliwrath appeared and I brought Throat Goat in. Throat Goat absorbed the hits from both of them. Wesley nearly finished Sock, but his sturdy ability kept him standing. And now His speed is boosted as well. Throat Goat drove Poliwrath into the red. Poliwrath got patched back up. Throat Goat ate the Stone Edge. Wesley chipped Poliwrath down and Throat Goat put Sock away. Breloom appeared. I got Throat Goat back to full. He kept absorbing the hit. Wesley nearly put Breloom away if it wasn't for that focus sash. I got Throat Goat sorted again. Wesley finished Poliwrath first, then closed Breloom out. Now I had all the Elite Four trainers beaten, so it was time to head into the Champions Room. We step onto the platform, which brings us to the floor right beneath it. We climb up the huge stairs, past the ancient ruins, and enter the green domed building. We see N, who's just beaten Alder. Alder is begging N for mercy. N notices us and the Darkstone and warns us. All of a sudden, Team Plasma's castle emerges from the ground. N flees inside. Sharon comes running in after also defeating the Elite Four, and he gives us some encouraging words before we head inside. We board the stairs between the Champions Room and the castle. We enter the castle and get ambushed by all of the Donnies. Before they get the chance to do us any harm, the Unova gym leaders step up to buy us some time. We make our way through the castle and suddenly a Shadow Donnie stops us and tells us to rest up and use the PC. So I take his advice. I bury our fallen friend Gary and withdraw Baltimore from the PC. We head up the stairs, and just before we were about to enter the room, End Boss Donnie stops us to taunt us, telling us we are too late to stop this from happening, blah 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 blah. We enter the throne room and N walks up all anime-like and gives us a speech about ideals and truths. Then he calls upon his legendary Pokémon Reshiram, who comes in dashing through the blood-clad wall. Our Darkstone reacts to Reshiram's presence and awakens Zekrom, which we challenge and capture using the Master Ball. I named him Zakaria. I added him to the party, swapping Baltimore out sadly, but I had to. Now it was time to challenge the psychotic champion / Plasma King N. He threw out Reshiram and the game automatically put Zakaria forward. Reshiram did quite some damage, but Zakaria came back with a Dragon Claw, after which Reshiram turned out to be a Zoroark. I was bamboozled, just like the first time I played Pokemon Black in 2011. I forgot about this trick, honest. I got Zakaria back up to full, took some damage again, swapped him for Monfrere, who absorbed not so much damage. He dodged a super effective Focus Blast and went underground with Dig. Last underground, Zoroark got patched up and driven back into the orange. This time he landed the Focus Blast. I went for a Dig again, putting Zoroark in the ground. I brought Zakaria back out against his Electivire. Zakaria took a hit. I got him sorted. He got clipped by the Sandstorm. This was a constant loop, you know. I know it's not the most gentleman way of handling things, but hey, I really want to win this battle, you know. But inevitably, Zakaria went down. RIP. See you in the next slide. I brought Tachi in and he finished Electivire with a Bug Buzz. Then I brought Squirtle in against his Aerodactyl. Squirtle sidestepped the Head Smash and connected a Smackdown. Second time she landed it again. I brought Tachi back in, thinking that Porygon Z is a Psychic type, but nope. That did almost nothing and got him taken out too. RIP Tachi. He helped us out a lot throughout these last battles. So I pivoted to Throat Goat, who absorbed the Tri-Attack and buried Porygon Z. Then I brought Wesley in, who nearly dropped Slowking with just a sliver of HP left. Wesley took a boosted serve, which put a dent in things, but luckily Slowking got worn down by the Sandstorm. I swapped back to Throat Goat against his Reshiram. Using Throat Goat as a sacrificial shield, I got Monfrere back to full. RIP the Goat. I used the same strategy for Wesley. I got Squirtle sorted, but Wesley took the L. RIP the Blade. I brought Squirtle out next, and by the grace of God, she connected the Quick Claw Smackdown, driving Reshiram down to half HP. She also survived the Draco Meteor. Reshiram put up a Reflex with the next Smackdown barely registered, so anticipating a full restore, I got Squirtle back to full as well. But the full restore never came, so the next turn, I get blessed again with another Quick Claw Smackdown, finishing off N, the champion / Plasma King. Pause. After the battle, N comes to his senses, but level 999, Tony comes storming in on some psychosis thing. He goes off on N and right after challenges me. This caught me off guard. Thinking that all my Pokemon are 6 feet under, I thought this was the end of the run. But it turns out all my Pokemon are back to full health. This felt really wrong, and if I could choose, I would rather take the L on this run than continue with this battle. But I couldn't do nothing here, so decide for yourself if this scenario determines whether this was a successful run or not. I nevertheless managed to drop Drapion. Hydreigon takes out Tachi and Wesley. Throat Goat carves into Hydreigon a fair bit, but then takes major damage, knocking it out on the second turn. I swap to Monfrere, who sets up a Dragon Dance while dodging a Thunder. Another Dragon Dance, but this time tanking the Thunder. I got him back up to full. Absorbed a bit more damage. Another Dragon Dance, gets sorted, and then runs through the next 3 Pokemon with Shadow Claw. Then hits Genesect with Dig down to 1 HP because of the Focus Sash and goes down to a Bug Buzz. I bring Squirtle in and Throat Goat gets sorted. Squirtle survives. I didn't anticipate on Squirtle surviving, but on the second turn he was too slow to connect and goes down. I sent out our last soldier Throat Goat to close this out. One last hammer arm was all it took to beat the game. Donito still doesn't realize he has lost. Rambles on about how N doesn't have a heart, blah blah blah, manipulation, blah blah blah, extortion, blah blah blah. Alder and Sharon escort Donito out. Left alone with N confesses that when he met me, it was the first time he heard the Pokémon saying that it liked its trainer. Deep down, triggered something in him. After telling me I can change the world, he did. Roll the credits. And that was it, ladies and gentlemen. My first video on this channel. We've managed to overcome the trials and tribulations of this hellish challenge, testing our patience and emotions way too much. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and a comment. Hype this video as many times as you can. Share it with all your friends and family. And if you really want to go the extra mile, you can buy me a coffee so I can pump out these type of videos way more often. Link in the description. If you have some other recommendation on what Pokemon game to play next or any subject to tackle next, also let me know in the comments. For any business who want to inquire for a possible collab or advertisement, you can email me on hiddenmachine07@protonmail.com. We're trying to get that money, you know. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.